Hi everyone, Tracy DW here. There are times when I often try to imagine what my life would be like if I had never created stories to be told. But the one thing that I do know for sure is that I cannot imagine my life without it now. Apart from taking me on the most incredible learning journey, it has enabled me to develop a certain degree of expertise for a niche. I'm beginning to feel that I'm transitioning from being an educator to an emerging authority on the subject of the British Empire and Britain's colonial past. I say emerging authority because I know that being an authority on any area leads to an understanding that rather than professing to know it all, it is often about confessing that you still have much to learn. And through my ongoing learning, I'm able to use this platform to explore the subject, share my own insights and questions with those of you who are willing to accompany me along the way. I want to take this opportunity to say a heartfelt thank you to all of you who have purchased my poetic narratives, visited the learning platform at storiestobetold.com, and new listeners, as well as those of you who regularly listen to my podcast episodes every fortnight. You all mean the world to me. Your feedback responses not only inspire me to continue this work, but also inform me on how I can make Stories to be Told an even better experience for those who want to learn more about the subject of the British Empire. As well as highs, I have experienced some lows in the form of criticism and negativity. And although these are what all of us who begin any type of business endeavour experience, I decided to use it as an opportunity to revisit the beginning of my journey with Stories to be Told, to reevaluate my why, and in doing so, set the record straight about a few things. So far, during the last 2 years, there have only been 3 occasions where the spelling of Stories to be Told has been questioned. Why TOLLED and not TOLD? I was surprised that some people are unaware that the word told is a homophone with the same pronunciation but 2 different meanings and 2 different ways to spell it. A bell tolling always marks an occasion for and draws our attention to something. The passing away of an individual, pending nuptials, a call to worship, a state of emergency, an alarm to wake up to in the morning, the end of playtime or study time at school. This is the meaning for which I am using, which lies in the logo for Stories to be Told, a bell which is coloured, representing different skin tones of ethnicities around the world. When a bell tolls, it is always for a reason. It arrests our attention. With every poetic narrative, story and podcast episode that I release, it is my desire that you as listeners will be alerted and made aware of the many perspectives that exist in learning about and interpreting not just the history of the British Empire, but in interpreting all history. There is so much of the past that is overlooked, forgotten about, or hidden, so that only a restricted view is presented as fact. My learning journey is all about exploring this through my question: is history a matter of fact or perspective? And inviting you as the reader and listener to join me on my learning journey, to ask questions, explore answers, and to spark your curiosity to either begin or continue your own learning about whatever sparks your interest to learn more about. Over the last 2 years, my learning journey with STBT has evolved. It began as a desire to break away from the more conventional and tokenistic approaches to teaching Black History Month in schools across the UK, and has now evolved into incorporating topics that are currently trending, which linked to the concept of empire, such as the pandemic, Barbados, the war in Ukraine, and my latest episode on remembering Patrice Lumumba. Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Do you feel like you're stuck in a dinner rut? With HelloFresh, you get fresh pre-measured ingredients with mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip all those trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun and affordable. Just go to the link in our show notes to get 50% off your first box and then 35% off your next 3 boxes. That's the link in our show notes for 50% off your first box and then 35% off your next 3 boxes. It's HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit. I encourage young learners to learn more about Britain's colonial past because it was a subject that is often viewed as an uncomfortable truth. However, I knew that I could make a valuable contribution as a school leader and educationalist by delivering the learning through my poetic narratives, alternative history artwork, mini documentaries, learning journeys, and this podcast series, all of which aims to deliver this uncomfortable truth in a way that is thought-provoking, imaginative and engaging, helping you as my co-learners to make connections between present-day consequences of past events and to look at single events in relation to the wider global context taking place at the same time. I hope to include guesting as part of my podcast format in the near future so as to include your contributions as well as others who have a perspective to share on the subject of colonialism. It's also a learning journey about how the British Empire affected not just Africans but all people of colour. And it aims to appeal to those of you who are passionate about history and interested in the subject. These intentions are the part that I can control. What I cannot control is the interpretation that you, as the listener, reader, learner, or spectator, bring to it. An example of this was a negative review that I received about my poetic narrative on the Scramble for Africa, Knights at the Round Table, the Berlin Conference 1884. After reading the response, I concluded that I would never take any type of criticism personally, but use it as a form of constructive feedback. In the education world, schools have governors to act as critical friends, who hold school leaders to account in ensuring that actions are taken to check that the school as an organisation continues to improve on the service it provides for those learners who are in their care. This is how I will regard feedback, as my critical friend, helping me to evaluate my why and inform how I deliver what I am doing and ensuring that it targets who it is really for. I realise that stories to be told will not be everyone's cup of tea. It is not a platform to present facts through rose-tinted glasses or to celebrate and reminisce about the glory days of the empire. I want to encourage the use of inquiry, using a range of sources to help interpret the past through a global context. At its core, it is about understanding that learning about history is not about a set of facts, but recognising there are discrepancies between what you've formerly been taught in school and what you often discover for yourself. This is a process that is disruptive, and it's often challenging much of what we have been taught to believe, or believe what does or doesn't exist. History is a story that is written by everyone, but often the perspective which dominates is determined by whoever controls the narrative. As time passes, the original message can be tainted, certain details can be exaggerated, hidden or omitted, and the meaning and the significance can become more or less ambiguous. I encourage you all to question everything and explore as many perspectives as you possibly can. If you like this podcast, then stay on my listening platform and check out my other podcast episodes related to this one, such as Our Brand Story and A Moment That Changed My Life from Season 1, as well as my interview with Facing Purpose from this second season. Don't forget what I like to call the heart and soul of the Stories to Be Told movement, my stories or poetic narratives, Caribbean Wind, Caribbean Rush, Knights at the Round Table, the Berlin Conference 1884, and Gone with the Wind, Macmillan's Speech for Change. They're all available on the website in both ebook, Kindle and paperback formats. And I'm also really excited about the publication of 4 new titles this summer. If you want to find out more, just visit storiestobetold.com and check out the learning platforms for The Journey's End, Giving Back Hong Kong, Bite from the Big Apple, A Story for New York, Hope for Zimbabwe, Arise the Phoenix, and A Story for South Africa. The paperbacks for each title are live on Amazon, and you can pre-order a Kindle copy which will be available from the 29th of July. And don't forget to enter the draw for a free copy of Aspiring Authors magazine for Black History 2022 if you want to be in with a chance of being my winner for the month of July. All you've got to do is visit the website and register for your free samples of my first 4 titles to enter. I'll be choosing a winner every month, right up to and including the month of October. Feel free to like, follow and share us on social media when you visit the website. Just click on to whichever social media link you'd like to follow me on. And as always, it is a pleasure and a privilege to share my learning journey, my thoughts, my reflections, to set the record straight in this particular podcast series. And I encourage you to either begin or continue your own. History is a matter of fact or perspective. I'm Tracy DW, and this is a Stories to Be Told podcast. It's the end of term. I'm celebrating the end of another academic year, and I can't wait to spend my summer break engaging and re-engaging with you, my listeners, my readers, and my co-learners. Let's enjoy the summer together. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next